Today, I bring to you the stories and lives of three men who defied death. Three men never died. Number one, Elijah. In the days of King Ahab, when darkness and idolatry was gaining root among the people of Israel, Elijah was one prophet who stood for God. He declared God with so much authority and power. He even challenged the prophets of Baal to an open challenge on Mount Carmel, where he called down fire and proved the supremacy of the living God over the idols. Elijah demonstrated the power of God in magnitudes that was not common. According to James chapter 5 from verse 17 to 18, Elijah prayed that it might not rain for 3 years and 6 months, and it did not rain. And he prayed again that it might rain, and the heaven gave rain. He was a force to reckon with in his days. He could not be suppressed by the political establishment or the royal family. So much so that Queen Jezebel threatened his life when she heard how Elijah had destroyed the prophets of Baal. He was a bold prophet who spoke and stood for the truth without being influenced or corrupted by the power that be. His life and ministry was full of authority and demonstrations of God's power. And his exit from the earth was even more spectacular. He exited the earth without tasting death in a spectacular fashion that has never been seen. He was carried up from the earth in a whirlwind of fire. According to the account in 2 Kings chapter 2 from verse 1 to 12, it was obvious that Elijah had been informed by God about his departure from the earth. God also revealed it to the sons of the prophets and Elisha, who was Elijah's protege at the time. Elijah and Elisha took their journey from Gilgal. It may seem as though God did not only tell Elijah about his departure, but also where it will happen. Because Elijah told Elisha to wait at Gilgal while he goes to Bethel. Elisha insisted he would go with him. And even when they got to Bethel, Elijah again told Elisha to wait for him while he goes to Jordan. But Elisha again insisted he would go with him. Elijah was not intending to leave Elisha behind. All these things he said were to test Elisha. And when they arrived at Jordan, the Bible recorded 2 Kings chapter 2 from verse 7 to 10, Amplified Bible. 50 men of the sons of the prophets also went and stood opposite them to watch at a distance, and the two of them stood by Jordan. Elijah took his mantle, coat, and rolled it up and struck the waters, and they were divided this way and that, so that the two of them crossed over on dry ground. And when they had crossed over, Elijah said to Elisha, "Ask what I shall do for you before I am taken from you." And Elisha said, "Please, let a double portion of your spirit be upon me." He said, "You have asked for a difficult thing. However, if you see me when I am taken from you, it shall be so for you. But if not, it shall not be so." Verse 11. As they continued along and talked, behold, a chariot of fire with horses of fire appeared suddenly and separated the two of them. Just like that, Elijah was taken to heaven in a whirlwind of fire. Elisha saw it, and according to 2 Kings chapter 2 verse 13, Elisha cried, my father, the chariot of Israel and its horsemen," was a special moment in the history of man, one that has not been repeated in that same manner. Number two, Enoch, a man of unwavering faith, a man who dedicated his life to walking closely with God and ignoring the distractions of his days. The time when people only have records of being born and also giving birth, Enoch stood out. He broke the status quo and made an indelible impact on the sand of history by his committed and intimate walk with God. Not much is written about him, but his was one of the most outstanding stories of the Bible. Be an example to men unto this day. Genesis chapter 8 from verse 18 to 24, Amplified Bible. Enoch walked with God, and he was not found among men, because God took him to be home with him. Genesis chapter 5 verse 24. The Bible says Enoch walked so intimately with God that the presence of God just engulfed him and took him away from the earthly realm to the heavenly realm. Continues to be a role model to us in the area of walking with God. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 5 to 6. By faith that pleased God, Enoch was caught up and taken to heaven so that he would not have a glimpse of death, and he was not found because God had taken him. For ever before he was taken to heaven, he received the testimony, still on record, that he had walked with God and pleased him. It is comforting to know that when we walk with God, great things are bound to happen in our lives. Enoch made history just by walking with God. This reassures us that by walking with God, we can make impact and history in our generation. Number three, Melchizedek, a mysterious king and priest. His name by interpretation means righteousness. According to the Bible, he has no beginning of days and no ending of days. According to the book of Hebrews, chapter 7, from verse 1, the Bible says, "For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God," according to the book of Hebrews, chapter 7, from verse 1, amplified. "For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, met Abraham as he returned from the slaughter of kings and blessed him. And Abraham gave him a tenth of all the spoil. He is first of all, by the translation of his name, King of Righteousness, and then he is also King of Salem, which means King of Peace, without father or mother, nor ancestral line, with no beginning of days nor ending of life. But having been made like the Son of God, he remains a priest without interruption and without successor. He was a precursor, a shadow image of Jesus Christ, who was to come. He had no father, no mother, no birth, and no death. He was both a king and a priest, and he remains forever. I hope this video has blessed you. I will see you on the next one. Shalom.